Jai Hind cadets, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to start a new lesson. Let us start our class with a quotation. There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. This quotation says that there is no shortcut for the success. In order to reach your goal and get succeed in your life, you have to work hard and work smart. For this, we have to learn something new every day. As a part of that, we are going to learn something new today. So let's begin our new lesson today. Before going to start that, identify this picture in the next slide. Did you recall something? These are the toys which you have played in your childhood, right? What would you do with these toys? It is obvious that if this toy is given to a child, surely he is going to do something like this. He is going to make some buildings, trains or cars or some kind of structures, right? So these small blocks, these toys are called as blocks. These small blocks are made into such a big building, right? More the blocks, the bigger the structure we can make. As these toys are helping or are useful to make such building, these blocks are called as building blocks. So the more number of blocks, the bigger the building. Smaller the blocks, like less number of blocks, smaller the building is. So there you can see different types of shapes and colors of blocks here, so which can be arranged in different ways, so we can get different kinds of structures. That can be a building or a train or a car or something like that. So these blocks are called as building blocks because they are helping in building something structure. So you might have seen in your class teacher writing on the board with a piece of chalk. Just think we have broken that. What are you going to get? Pieces of chalk. Go on breaking this piece of chalk. Finally, till you get a smallest part of that chalk. So what you are going to get as from this? A small part here, the dot. Are you able to see this? So you might have seen while writing on the board with this piece of chalk, you will see some powder grains are falling on the floor. So each powder grain are together making this structure, that is piece of chalk. So this powder grain, now in this case, this powder grain is the basic unit or the building block of the piece of chalk, as it is making this entire structure of the chalk. As in the case of the last one, these blocks are making the entire building, like that. This grain is making the entire piece of chalk. That's why it is called as basic unit or building block. I understand why you are wondering why these toys and piece of chalk came to our class. Do you ever wonder if these non-living things are made up of some kind of basic unit? Why not our living things are made up of some kind of basic units? What is the basic unit of the living thing? That is the question for today. What is the building block or basic unit of living things? That is what we are going to learn today in this session. So the answer is our new lesson, cell, the basic unit of life. In this session we are going to learn about the concept of cell and uh, what is this cell, what is its function, and based on the number of cells, organisms are divided into two types, unicellular and multicellular. So we are going to learn about this topic too, and then we are moving on to discovery of cell, how this cell was discovered, and then finally types of cell. So coming to the first topic, concept of cell. What is the cell? As we have learnt in the previous slide, cell is the basic unit of life, right? You already know that there are three types of living things: plants, animals, and microorganisms, which I have told you, explained in our previous classes. So these three types of living things are made up of cell. Whatever the size it is, that can be smaller one or bigger one, all the living things are made up of cells. Here this is a picture of a bacterium, that is one type of microorganism, and plant and animals. So as you can see a cell here, rod shaped structure. This single cell is here representing one organism, that is bacteria. Means what is here, bacteria is made up of only one cell. As the number of cells increases, the structure of the organism becomes bigger and complex, like in the plants and animals. That's why we are able to see different parts in the plants, like leaves, flowers, fruits, stem, roots, etc. In the animals, we are seeing brain, kidney, liver, hands, legs, tissues, and like bones, everything. Why it happened? Because there are more number of cells. From the simple structures like bacteria to the complex structures like plants and animals, and these cells are present. These cells are present in all living things, whether it is a small simple bacteria, microorganisms, or complex bigger plants and animals, right? So at this stage you should be able to realize the fact all the living things are made up of cells. Only one difference here you notice is number of cells, shape of the cells might be different, but all the living things are made up of cell, right? So based on the number of cells, as we have just discussed, number of cells will decide the complexity of the structure of an organism. Based on the number of cells, we can classify living things into two types. First type of organism is unicellular organisms. Here in the name itself you can understand the fact uni means single, cellular means cell. If an organism is made up of only one cell, then that is called as unicellular organisms. One example is bacteria. As we discussed in the last slide, each rod shaped structure here is one single bacterium. So we are seeing number of bacteria here, right? Each one having one single cell. So next type of organism is multicellular organisms. Multi means many, more than one. That can be two, that can be 3, 5, 6, 10, hundreds, lakhs, thousands, many. More than one cell. Okay, cellular means cell. If an organism contain more than one cell, then that organisms are called as multicellular organisms. Examples are plants, animals, and some other microorganisms like fungi. So at this stage you should have to realize the fact that there are two types of organisms or living things: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms based on the number of cells they contain in their body. So if an organism contains only single cell in their structure, then they are called as unicellular organism. Example is bacterium. And multicellular organisms contains more than one cell. Examples are plants and animals. Now comes the question, who discovered the cell? Yes, we realized the fact all the living things, that is plant, animal and microorganism, are made up of cells. Very good. Then who discovered this cell? Robert Hooke. Before going to learn about how he discovered the cell, let us know some facts about this great scientist. Robert Hooke. He is a naturalist. Naturalist means a person who studies about the plants and animals in their natural environment. That's why it is called naturalist. He was working as a curator at Royal Society of London. Here we have to say a few words about the Royal Society of London. In 16th century, most of the scientific research was done in the Greek and other countries there, even England, like that. So all over the world, when the science work is happening, this is the institute, Royal Society of London. Now we are calling it as the Royal Society of London, but earlier it was called as Royal Society of London for improving natural knowledge. So this society, what it will do means it will collect the science works from the all over the world, and they will try to prove them through the experiments. So this society, Royal Society of London, is known for the experimental science work. So at the society, Robert Hooke was working as a curator. Curator means whatever the work, science works coming from the different parts of the world, he is going to check them, read them and check them, so that they can be published in the different magazines. So he was working there. Apart from this job, he was more interested in doing science. He is also the part of observing different plants and animals in under the microscope. In the 16th century itself, very beginning, the microscope was invented by the brothers called Johnson. So different scientists at the different parts of the world are trying to build their own microscopes, but Robert Hooke didn't made his own microscope. He used usual microscope but studied different parts of the plants and animals to see their inner secrets. So he was more keen in learning the science, not only in the plants and animals, but he is also known his work in the physics. So when he was doing his research on plants and animals and observing them under the microscope, it happened that he came across the tissue called cork, plant tissue called cork. So this, what is cork? It is the bark of the soft bark of a oak tree. This is the oak tree. This part is called as bark. Outermost part of the trunk of a tree is called as bark. You might have seen such brown patches on the neem tree, mango tree, and around our houses. So this bark is of oak tree is called as cork. Cork, we have seen in our labs sometime. These are used to close the caps, to close the bottles, to seal the bottle mouth. So this cork was made into thin slices by the Robert Hooke, and he observed one of the slice of the cork under the microscope. This is the microscope of Robert Hooke, which he used to observe different plants and animal parts. So here, when he placed cork slice under the microscope, this is what he saw under the microscope. He drew this in his book called Micrographia. So this is what he observed under the microscope. All these small tiny boxes, he observed them, which are arranged parallelly to each other. So he called each of these small boxes as a cell. Why he gave the name cell? In Latin, the cell word came from the word cellula, which is a Latin word. In Latin, cellula means small room. The small boxes he observed, right? Empty small boxes which he observed here under the microscope are looking like the small room of the monks of the 16th century. In the 16th century, monks used to live in such small rooms. So as it is resemble these small rooms, that's why he called that tiny structures as a cell. Understood? So why did Robert Hooke gave the name cell? Because the small empty boxes which he observed under the microscope are resembling the small rooms of the monks of 16th century. That's why he called them as the cell. Cell means cellula, of which is a Latin word which means small room. But here you have to realize one fact. This cork he observed under the microscope is a dead tissue. Means it has no life. Then comes the name in the history of science, a famous microbiologist, Antony Philips van Leeuwenhoek, most famously called as Antony van Leeuwenhoek. He is the first person to observe the living cells under the microscope. The speciality of Leeuwenhoek is he used to make his own microscopes. So before going into the work of Leeuwenhoek, just let us know some facts about the microscope, how it is helping them to see the different parts. What is the function of microscope? This microscope is an instrument which help us to see very smaller things in a bigger size. You might have seen in your your parents or your relatives wearing spectacles, right? That spectacles will contain lenses, right? The glass part that they usually call them as lenses. Why they use these lenses? When these people cannot see smaller things or the distant object, to make that objects visible clearly, they use the lenses, magnifying lenses. So the smaller things will appear in a bigger size. That is the use of the microscope. When in the 16th century, when Johnson invented the microscope, it contains only one magnifying lens. Then later on, they started to keep two lenses and three lenses in a microscope and started seeing the things. But the images which they are seeing are not so clear, they are so blurry, they are unable to see things exactly what they are. So people around the world are working to make a very good microscope which can clearly magnifies the size of the smaller things and show a clear pictures. At that moment, even though Leeuwenhoek is not a scientist, he is educated very well. He started making his own microscopes. So what made him to make this microscope by himself means the capacity of making a wonderful lenses. So where these lenses are used? Here in this picture, if you see, here is the lens, and this one, this white, it is called a sample holder. Okay, so this is not that much big the way I am showing here. It is very small. Here this scientist is holding this in his hand and observing under the light of candle. See here, this is the lens, means magnifying glass. Okay, so here this is the sample holder and this is the barrel and the screws, and like this they used to adjust that one. Actually it has to be holded like this, so that we can see this specimen which is kept on the specimen pin through the objective lens. Here we will keep the specimen. Through here we will see the specimen. Specimen means the thing which you want to see. Okay, so coming to the work of Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he is educated but not a scientist. He is an owner of a textile business, but he is very passionate about learning something new in the science. So he started making his own unique microscopes with the lenses which have extraordinary high quality. So in the 1665, already you learnt, Robert Hooke wrote a book called Micrographia, where he showed his drawings and findings through the which he observed through the lens of his microscope. But the Robert Hooke microscope is a little inconvenient as it is causing strain on the eye because of the lenses he is using, and even the quality of the images is very blurry, not so good. So microscopes made by Leeuwenhoek changed the world of microorganisms. He opened the new door to the world of living things. Actually Leeuwenhoek was using very small spherical, means spherical like a ball, ball shaped spherical lenses to make single lens microscope, whereas Robert Hooke was using 2 lenses and 3 lenses in his compound microscope, whereas Leeuwenhoek was using single lens, as you have seen in the previous slide. Only one lens was used here. So he was using single lens. Microscopes made from Leeuwenhoek's tiny spherical lenses, the smallest lenses like 1 micromillimeter, which are able to magnify the objects by the 200 to 300 times. Means if an object, for our understanding I am telling you, if an object size is 1 centimeter, when you are seeing under the microscope, it is going to appear like 200 centimeters or 300 centimeters big. So his lenses has the his microscope has the capacity of magnifying an object by 200 to 300 times bigger. Whereas The compound microscope, which was used by Robert Hooke, is only magnifying things by 40 to 50 times. So, remarkably, Leeuwenhoek used his lenses to see the smallest parts like never ever before seen. Like even he started seeing the red blood cells in the blood samples. He observed different things under his microscope like blood, pond water, plant materials, animal muscles. Just like that, on one day when he was observing pond water under the microscope, he observed tiny, small, moving things. He called them as the animalcules. Actually, he called them the tiny, small, tiny, very tiny means very small, tiny moving creatures as Derkens in Dutch. Actually, he is a Dutch person, so he called it as Derkens. Derkens means small animals. As they are that small creatures are moving, he called them as small animals. So later it was converted by others as the animalcules in Latin language. In Latin, animalcules means small animals. So he called that small moving living creatures as animalcules. Later on, these animalcules were named as bacteria, protista, etc. Now you know the fact these are called as microorganisms. But this was what actually he observed in the 1674. Exactly 10 years after the discovery of cell by Robert Hooke in 1665, Antony Leeuwenhoek in 1674 and 75 he observed the bacteria protista under the microscope. That's why he is called as the father of microbiology sometimes. So when he observed these microorganisms and different samples like red blood cells, white blood cells, yeast, sperm, everything, he started writing his findings and drawings in a book and started sending this letter to the Royal Society of London. Very beginning, no one believed this one because before him there is no another person who have seen these very tiny, that is smallest creatures like microorganisms. So they just didn't believe the Leeuwenhoek. But Robert Hooke, who was a curator at the Royal Society of London, he worked on this and find them true and published all his letters in a journal called as Philosophical Transactions. So finally Royal Society of London accepted his work and published his works in the name of Philosophical Transactions. This is the small microscope which was developed by the Antony van Leeuwenhoek. These are some drawings made by himself. The good thing we can see with the work of Leeuwenhoek is whatever he used to see under the microscope, he used to write about them and draw the pictures whatever he have seen under the microscope. So his work revealed the new aspects of the living world. Then only we came to know that there are microorganisms. Right? So this is the end of the session. What we have learned in this session: cell is the basic unit of life or living thing. All the living things are made up of cells. Based on the number of cells, organisms are divided into two types: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Robert Hooke was the first person to discover the cell in the cork tissue and coined the term cell. And he described about the findings of cell in his book called Micrographia. And then Antony van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe and discover living microorganisms and different types of other living cells. So at the end of this session, the students should be able to understand the facts we learned today, and you should be able to explain why the cell is the basic unit of life, and you should be able to differentiate the unicellular and multicellular organisms, and you should be able to compare the works of Robert Hooke and Leeuwenhoek and appreciate the work of Robert Hooke and Leeuwenhoek for the discovery of cells. If you are able to do all this, then the objectives of the lesson is achieved. So hope you have a great learning time, and meet you in the next class. Jai Hind.